Good morning, everyone. Um, I'm hoping you can hear me. Let me know if you can in the comments section. I I'm always leery of doing a service from home because sometimes it doesn't come through well. Casey and I were just talking about the time that Bo was here and he was watching, and Casey was watching, and I was doing the service, and all of a sudden it kept cutting out. And then after the service was done, Bo came down and told me he was also watching wrestling, streaming wrestling, and it didn't make me feel so good, but it's a funny memory. Um, so people tune in and out when I'm home, and that's not a big deal. So today's service is a little different. You know, the past couple of weeks we've talked about forgiveness and gratitude and setting up the mind in a sense or a state of healthy acceptance, um, so we can heal things in our life, whether it's emotional or physical. It all starts with the mind and keeping the mind in a comfortable, happy state. My next talk on that is release, but I wanted to do that from church, so I'm sitting there with some people. So today it's just kind of reflections on our church. You know, wondering if you're getting what you need. You know, what I try and do is practical Christianity. And it doesn't matter what your belief is. I try and teach ways to use the Bible in everyday life. And I know that there are people who see things different from me, and I really like that. Because my views I've crafted over the years, and they are very in line with unity. But we all craft our views and what we take in and what we dismiss. And that to me is incredibly important because that's how you build yourself and that's how you make Christianity practical. You know, there are those who believe, well, I won't start that way. I mean, I believe in my version of who and what Jesus is, but you don't have to believe that. I believe that Jesus was a prophet. And I believe that because he calls himself that in Luke 4:24. Truly, I tell you, no prophet is accepted in his hometown. So if he calls himself a prophet, that's what I go with. And that's kind of what sets me up. But if you're a traditionalist, that's fine on however you believe. And I've had people leave the church because of this. I've had people leave the church, and I've had friends just distance themselves because of I'm more liberal in my political views than others. And I find that I don't know if I find it funny, but I find it peculiar that we all talk about loving one another, love thy neighbor as thyself, but separate from each other over these things. We are connected in so many ways. First of all, we're human. There's a human connection to all. There's a want to be empathetic and happy and compassionate. We want to do the things for others that we would want done for us. We're connected by our neighborhood. We're connected by being in the same state. And we're very connected by being Americans. We shouldn't divide ourselves over our political views because we're still Americans. It's designed to have different choices. And then over religious views, I find that very strange too. Because every religion talks about loving each other, and yet we're divisive on that. Not necessarily in our church, but around the world, around the globe. So I'm curious, and I'd like you to think over this week. Do you take away anything from church? Are you getting what you need from church? No matter what your view, I always hope that we focus on the lesson that I'm speaking of that day. And that lesson sometimes is hard to follow. I know. When I focus on the Old Testament, or I pick up a verse or a chapter, more things that do not add up to me. And I love those talks, but others may not. And lately I talk more from the heart than I ever have. And I still write a full talk each week. I still do the research. Some talks don't require as much research like this one, and others take a lot. And this talk probably isn't going to go long. I don't want to keep everyone from their Sunday. But I want to know that people are getting what they need from our church. There is a swing in traditional churches to take on a more spiritual look at the Bible. It's led by Reverend Richard Rohr, who is a Franciscan priest from Albuquerque, and it was led by the late Episcopal Church of the Bishop of New York City, Reverend John Shelby Spong. And if you really want to read some good books, both of those have great books. And they've written there about their ideas of Jesus and how we should follow his words. And they come to the conclusion that his words are practical. And that's what I try to do, to introduce practical lessons from Jesus. But many people get turned away or shut off because they have feelings about the Bible. They have feelings of past influences and may be bothered by mine or Unity's ideas. Sometimes reading the Bible, it's like having your history sitting on your shoulder. So it determines how you read the Bible. And others can easily let go and read it and come up with their own conclusion. And I always hope people do that. I don't know that people do. The Bible is one of those books that everyone knows, but not many people have read. And that's fine. It's a big book. And if you don't find something to hang your hat on, it's tough. I love the stories of the Old Testament, and I love the stories of Jesus in the New Testament. I don't often go beyond the Gospels because that's when Christianity starts to change. Occasionally I can find stuff in there that makes sense to me, but I try and stick to his actual words, because to me that's like Buddha telling me wisdom, or Lao Tzu. He has wisdom that's practical and everyday, even though he's speaking to people 2,000 years ago. And nothing I talk about, or none of my talks, you don't know. I mean, you know already. They're just kind of buried down deep. Sometimes we get away from the lessons and the things we know as we focus on life. So nothing I say is new, but hopefully sometimes it awakens things in you that you knew. And each of you, wow, each of you are good people. I know this from the interactions with each of you and the things you do. I know this from the way you treat others, or the way you talk about others, or you talk about things in your life. The way you've checked up on Casey and me and offered food and helping around our driveway during snow, or helping with the leaves and such. And this is very hard for me to accept help because I was always the person helping others. And I have to accept that I'm not that guy anymore. I must release the old me and come to some acceptance of the new me. And I don't know if this new me will last. I'll get stronger or weaker. I have no idea, but I have to accept that. And I have to release the hold that I have on the past. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next week. But it's all more than that. We have fellowship. We sit around and we chat. We enjoy each other's company. Sometimes we chat about the talks, but many times we talk about what's going on in our lives. And I really like that because my job is to talk. So to sit back and listen to other people and sit next to you and have a meal and hear what's going on and allow you guys to speak to me and to others, I take a lot away from that. That's my part of the service. That's where I'm receiving. And we have these bonds that bring us back each week or desire to hang out with each other. I mean, we sat there a few weeks ago when we made the blessing bags. And to me, that was just so wonderful that we get together and our goal was to make other people's lives that much better. And maybe that much is enough. Maybe that's the drop that ripples out and changes. But that's not the end all. As long as we've tried to help another person and we do it for ourselves as well. I so much enjoy when I'm in line and someone can't pay. And I'm not happy for their situation, but I'm happy to notice the opportunity to help someone out. I always ask like they're doing me a favor, because in reality, they are. And when we do these things as people of our church, to me, that's the ultimate in Christianity, trying to live our best life. There's always that talk, are we Christian or Christian-based or whatever? And I happily call myself a Christian. You call yourselves whatever you want. But because I focus on those first 4 books and the lessons in that, to me, that's what a Christian does. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It starts there. Do not worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has worry of his own. I think about that every day. Most days I start my day and that pops in my head while I'm doing my gratitude, my gratitude ritual or whatever you want to call it. Because I have a lot going on in my life. I have a lot of health issues going on in my life, but I can't worry about them because it takes away from a now moment. And I hope you guys get that. I hope when I talk, you're getting a lesson. I hope what we do each week makes you want to come to church and be part of this. And sometimes I do worry because the numbers are down. And I don't know what to do about that. But when I get there, I can't think about that. I think about the music that Barbara plays. I think about the choir. I'm so happy sitting back there and listening and watching the choir sing. I've told you over and over to look up and watch Rachel look out and smile. Man, that just fills me up. And I love these moments. I love these moments with you. And when I'm at church, I'm filled. I get to talk. Hopefully you get the lessons. Sometimes you may not. Sometimes you may fall asleep through that. I get it. And because I've done that. Luckily I haven't done that while I've been standing up talking to you. But I get to do that. When I'm weak, I sit down, and you guys are fine with that. When I'm strong, I help with the tables and all that. And it depends. So that's what I'm getting out of this. Um, you know, I hope you guys are getting similar things out of this. I hope that you get the lessons that I speak of, that you can carry those lessons maybe for a day or two or for the week, and maybe one I hit out of the park and it sticks with you forever. And they're not really my lessons, they're just what I'm focusing on that week. This year, I'm focusing on health, and I'm starting with changing our mindset so we are ready to accept health, and we're ready to feel better. And sometimes health doesn't get better, but our mind gets better so we can deal with it. So we're not living in those moments. I think about the things that we get to do as a group. I mean, I've loved the things that we go out and do. I love when we've gone to plays and dinner. And I love all these moments because this is part of the bond that we have. I hope that I'm doing all I can do. And I know there's room that I can do more for the church. And we're going to have to work on that. I just love this church. And I hope you guys get that bond. I hope each of you can connect to each other. And I know some people are far away and can't get here. My sister, Jan, watches. Hi, Jan. And I know she can't make fellowship because it's 10 hours and we don't have that kind of time between the service and the fellowship. But you're part of the church. Anyone who listens is part of the church. Norma, you're part of our church. Bonnie, Ed, Richard, everyone, my wife. I love looking out and seeing her working on the technical side. Because it's a bond to see everyone do things to make it better. Tracy came in a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if anyone noticed, but she steam cleaned the carpets. Charlie comes in during the week and sets up and cleans up. We all do our things. And that matters to me. That's part of what Christianity is. Each of us doing our part. If we have a technical issue, Rachel jumps in. You guys, the food you made. And by the way, we have a stack of bowls and plates and stuff that we got to bring back just so we can use our kitchen table again. This is what it's about. I hope that each one of you are getting something out of our church. And I'd like you to reflect on that over the week. And maybe we can share it at fellowship next time. On what the church means to you. Am I doing a good job? Are you content with it? Are there things that, I should change? And I take criticism pretty well. I'll cry at home and, in case I have to rub my head. But in church, I'll act like I'm stoic. I'm just kidding. It's fine because I take every criticism and then I balance it out if it works for me or if it doesn't. But each of you come to church to get something out of it. And I'd like to know what you're getting out of it. Hopefully, a lot of it is the lesson, because that's my goal. If you're not getting the lesson, then I'm really not doing a good job. The other part is to understand unity and unity's belief. And I always say over the course of a year, if you don't understand what unity is, I'm not doing my job. And unity is a way of looking at the Bible practically. It's finding the metaphysical meanings, or, if the meaning's not clear, you find the metaphysical meaning. But sometimes it's very clear. Jesus says exactly what he wants. And other times, you have to sort that lesson out. I always think of the Good Samaritan story because it has two meanings. The first meaning is about people deciding whether to help a person or not. And the two people in the beginning don't. And they seem like they're just jerks or hypocrites. Where the Good Samaritan walking by helps lift the guy up, takes him to a hotel, and pays for the inn and his food and all that. But when you read the story deeper, you realize that the first two guys are having a crisis of conscience, because Mosaic laws, I think it's Mosaic, but they give instructions on how to deal with people. You can't touch a poor person. You can't touch a person who's dirty. And they have all these things that they're trying to follow their purity laws. And the other man just, it's that those purity laws don't matter. Helping another matters. And that's the other lesson in that story. So you have to dig deep and look into these lessons. And I think we do that naturally. We help others regardless. We care for each other regardless. And that's the point. And I'm starting to wander now. But I would really like, over the course of the week, if you guys could ponder what you get out of church. Maybe it's just the fellowship, and that's good. Maybe it's the events like, Acoustic Circle, and that's fine. We're lucky because we get to do all these things. So folks, my friends, before I stray too long and babble too long, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you enjoy your Sunday. I love each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Hopefully we'll get no snow next Sunday. All right. Have a wonderful day. Namaste, and I love you.